30, we are here with Tom Gaines, our Administrative Director of Central Services. And this meeting is being recorded and will be available on YouTube.
Is Commissioner Jones joining us this morning?
We're supposed to be calling in.
Okay. On consent, I have 3 items amongst my departments. Number 2, the approval of a contract, CSD 2411 FG for Joe's Tree Service for the removal of dead and dying trees at the Grant County Fairgrounds. This was approved, did I bring that in? I think I did. Last week you signed a consent item. Central Services had numerous fairgrounds projects this year. Once bid, we were awarded under their budget, leaving a budget surplus. One of them was this tree. Not many of them. As a matter of fact, this is the only project that required a contract. Contract has been reviewed by legal, so it's good to go. And you'll see her signature on it. 2 contracts through facilities and maintenance, which have also been reviewed by the prosecutors. Contracts FM 2418 and 2417.
Okay, so 2 is the prosecuting attorney. Reviewed that one. Okay.
All 3 that I'm going to be speaking of have been reviewed by the prosecuting attorney. So Basin Refrigeration has the other 2 for 2 different unit replacements up at Youth Services. One of them came in much higher than we anticipated, but we do have money in REAP to pay for that under the other Ephrata area capital projects, and accounting has reviewed that as well. Kevin worked with Emily, or not Emily, with Mandy to ensure that it was okay to use those funds. I should have a walk-on, the developers agreement between the city and the county. We've been working under the auspices of this agreement since the get-go. It was never formalized. We went back and forth a lot on, there's a water fee that we have to pay for the GMA. And it was figuring out what that number was supposed to be. The city used an outside consultant to figure out what that was. We finally have all that figured out. So, but we need to get it signed. So he just sent me the final version this morning. I need to make sure that there aren't any other attachments. It has also been reviewed by our prosecuting attorney's office and by Development Services, and they're both good with this developer's agreement. So they reviewed that last week. The coroner's office, Rob and I attended the MLSD school board meeting on Thursday. They took public comment on the property surplus, but no one spoke. I think all 3 commissioners probably saw my email to Attorney Chris Reese regarding the offer. If you'd like it to discuss it, I'd suggest we go into an executive session. If you're all good with it, I'll tender that offer this week with a cover letter explaining the offer. We're going to interview one person for the maintenance support position this week at the fairgrounds. He's been a carpenter for 13 years, and he was also in the National Guard, currently in Mattawa. So we'll see him on Thursday and find out if he's our next maintenance support to replace Dennis. And then for the Grant County Leaders Conference, I did receive commitments back from Joe Creek, Teresa Atkinson, that they'll be putting something together for breakout sessions. So we're still working on that. And today I have a meeting with Will Rutherford and CRA to fix his contract. His contract originally was structured under the valuation of a $50 million jail. Obviously, that's not what we're doing. And the contract has to be updated, and we're going through all of that today. In that, my last thing for you, before we, if you have any questions, on that consent item that you guys approved, we were also purchasing 60 security cameras and associated hardware, $100,000 for that. You guys approved that. We got the final cost from that company. It's actually $120,000, so it's about $20,000 higher. We have the funds to pay for that. It's not a problem. Do you want me to just go for it, or do you want me to put in a letter memorializing that? Are you okay with it? Do you want me to resend it through consent? I'd rather not have to do that, but maybe
I would reach out to Mandy and see what she would like.
Well, it's not really, it's already okay. We already have it.
But it's capital?
Yeah, but we already have the capital funds. Okay. So it's already approved we've already approved, well, the money was already there for the purchases. It's just a matter of, it's $20,000 more than what you had agreed to on consent. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you want me to resend it. I'm sorry?
I'm a both.
You're a both?
Move forward, memorialize it with a letter.
Okay,
That's mine.
yeah,
Okay, no, I'm fine with that.
okay, all right, I'll do that. So, that's all I had for you today. That was quick.
Okay,
Look at that,
thank you, Tom.
5 minutes. Any questions? And did you want to go into an executive session about the school stuff at
Oh, I
all?
think we saw
About the
the
morgue?
email.
Okay.
Is there anything?
I think it's kind of your last shot.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what we're gonna do if that's disregarded.
But thank you, Tom, for, continuing on this path and.
We'll see what they say.
Yeah, it's been a tough road. I really appreciate the fact that you have, in your exasperation with how that relationship has walked, that
Yeah.
you've stuck with it and
We'll see,
taken the high road, I think.
we'll see what happens. Okay, well, thank you, commissioners,
Well,
appreciate it.
8:36, we are in recess until 8:45.
Okay.
Morning, it's 8:45, we are here with Jim Cook, Jim Anderson Cook from the Planning Department. Welcome, and this meeting is recorded and available on YouTube.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Stone. Director Young is in Long Beach, California, attending the code hearings. So you have me this morning. On consent today, and I thought I would review it with you both this morning ahead of that, is a memo from our office last week regarding the Granicus contract. Granicus, as you may or may not know, has recently purchased the SmartGov platform. And SmartGov is, of course, our permitting platform that's used by Development Services, Public Works, and the Grant County Health District. What we are asking for, that contract is currently up for renewal and has been needed to be paid since June of this year at a cost of $38,444. We are asking for a waiver of the contract review. Rebecca, the prosecuting attorney's office, has some concerns about the generic contract language and says that if the board were willing, they can waive her concerns about the risk that she has in that contract language. So wanted to point out that Granicus is in 225 Washington communities, cities and counties, as large as King County, where they do a number of things for them, including also their permitting and short-term rentals, as well as Snohomish County. And they are in 55 or 5,500 governments throughout the United States. Questions on that one?
Nope, they're not new to the game here. Good
I
job.
don't have any, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm not saying if 5,000 plus and 225 in the state of Washington have allowed it, we probably can too.
Yeah, I'm planning on voting for the waiver to get that moving forward.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. So, like I said, that is on consent. That being said, we to give the board a heads up, we are planning on requesting to terminate our agreement with Deckard, known as Rentalscape, and that is our platform that we used this year to help us with identifying and managing our short-term rentals in Grant County. And we are next week going to look at a solution from Granicus that can help us manage short-term rentals also. So we will be presenting a termination letter to Deckard that has been reviewed by the prosecuting attorney's office. And we will put that on consent for the board to review as well in the upcoming weeks. But just wanted to make the board aware.
Jim, did Deckard also locate those? Or was
Deckard-
that someone else's software?
Decker did help us identify those. That is correct.
Is that something that you would do again in the future to locate new locations?
Granicus has the same ability to identify, to locate,
Okay,
the same data mining capabilities.
cool.
It would just be a plug-in to our existing rentals, or excuse me, our existing SmartGov platform.
Okay, thank you.
Talking about the same numbers?
Same numbers, yeah. It would be the same quantity. Might even
No,
be.
I'm talking about cost.
Cost would be less. We're anticipating the cost to be less, but we will know next Tuesday. We have a presentation coming from them next Tuesday. And I think that kind of sums up what we had for you guys this morning. So any questions for Development Services?
Yeah, you've been talking about the short-term rental situation, and it was difficult for a while. Is it settling down? What are we looking at?
We had an interesting week. So we've in complete transparency, we've had some confusion with our customers and with the planning department, specifically around areas zoned in our county master plan resort, specifically around Crescent Bar. So we have a property manager down there that manages what we've been able to identify 101 properties. And unfortunately, we gave some misinformation to one of his customers and told them that they needed to pursue a conditional use permit, and those come at a cost of about $1,820. And that was misinformation. Those permits down there in that MPR are actually a free permit.
Somebody didn't know they were in there.
Correct. The mapping in Esri is very confusing down in Crescent Bar. It's got some split zoning. So the average person looking at it, you would think that you were in a zone that would require a CUP. Unfortunately, this particular planner looked at it the same way and gave them some misinformation. They were able to identify that, and they cleared that up for them. But that was unfortunate. So
The property manager probably became slightly upset.
Yep. And they became upset. Definitely reached out. But again, we were able to clear that up for them. So anyway, it was a tough week in that respect. But overall,
Why did it take several days to fix that?
It took a day to get it cleared up. Some couple emails back and forth, but I think that we've got it straightened out. So really, what needs to be known is that the communities of Crescent Bar and what we affectionately know as Cave B, those are free planning permits, and those communities are exempt from a conditional use permit. The communities outside of that, chances are a conditional use permit would be required. So
Even Sunland?
Sunland, definitely Sunland, and Desert Air, definitely Desert Air, and then the surrounding communities in unincorporated Grant County, Moses Lake, those areas. So we are currently working on 8 conditional use permits that we have in the queue right now for those areas outside of, again, Crescent Bar and Cave B. So I think it's going well. All things considered, I think we've issued upwards of 50 fee-free planning permits, and again, working on 8 conditional use permits. So.
Well, thank you. Sorry your office probably was a little hostile for a bit. Sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, well, we worked
it out.
through
Okay.
it. Worked through it.
Well, I didn't realize that either, that the conditional use permits, there is no fee, so education.
The conditional use permits, there is a fee.
Oh, a fee.
The planning permit is
Okay,
fee-free.
planning.
Yeah, the planning permit for those
2 areas.
yeah, for those 2 areas, Crescent Bar and
Okay, for
KB.
KB, but is that the conditional use permit would be that would be the permit or just a component of the planning?
So we have a planning permit, a transient residence
Okay.
planning permit for those master plan resort areas.
Okay.
So
Because the master
KP
plan already has a CUP.
Correct, yeah, they're set up,
Okay.
they're set up to be transient already. So what we have is a planning permit that just identifies and recognizes the individual parcel and records it in our system as a transient residence, and we do that free of charge.
There are my notes here. Okay.
Mhm.
Clear as mud. Okay, well, thank you, Jim.
You're very welcome, thanks for,
Have an awesome day.
yes, you as well. We'll see you at 1 o'clock.
All right, it's 8:55. We are in recess until 9 o'clock when we do our department head review.
Have a good morning.
You too. Good morning, it is 9:01. We are here with Corey Anderson for an employee review, a department head review. We will go into executive session for the entire time from 9:01 to 9:25. So this portion will be recorded, but executive session will not be recorded. So Danny, can you, or I don't know, Caitlin, Brittany, can you take us into executive session?
Yes, I gotcha.
Good morning, it is 9:31. We are here with Barb Vasquez, Clerk of the Board update. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on YouTube.
And commissioners, you have one call-in user.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you want to wait for Danny? We got Rob. I guess we
We can
can,
get started.
okay. Pending decisions spreadsheet.
Corey's coming.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning again, Barbara.
We also have the coordinated entry, Ephrata Family Dentistry. Let's move along. We have put it in our 2025 budget, so I don't think it's gonna get done this year. Still need to update our travel policy. Animal outreach, they are coming to visit with us. Think about some dog situations.
When?
Well, I thought, is she coming back? She has another meeting planned. She said she's coming to us.
Brittany, off top of your head, do you know when the other animal outreach meeting is scheduled?
I believe the first week in November.
You're speaking about Sarah.
Uh-huh. Because she's had a certain topic she wanted to discuss and
And I think Rob was gonna get the copy of the new ordinance that Moses Lake passed.
Rob, is that true?
Yeah, I don't have it yet though. They're supposed to get it to me.
Hi, Rob.
Hello.
Can always reach out to their clerk. Do you want me to reach out to their clerk or just wait for yours, you, sir?
You can reach out to the clerk. I don't think it matters.
So we can close out the recording of all commissioners' meetings.
Yay, today's the day. So we'll put this now. Completed 10, 21, 24.
Okay, ADA access to county museum. So is it just the exterior access or is it while in the
It
museum?
was both, getting to there from the parking lot and then even maneuvering around in there. The gravel is just so loose
Okay.
that it was hard to push the scooter through.
Okay.
Just pick it up and hop, huh?
Well, because they have a sidewalk, but maybe it's not, because I'm thinking the building, because it does have boardwalks.
Yes,
But
and
we
I,
might have some,
getting to that point was
okay,
pretty difficult.
okay, because Paths and Trails, but I think it's for connectors and like ADA, but we can definitely work on that. Okay, determine future of work release building. Safety committee plan. I think we are looking at a risk coordinator or risk manager, so we can.
Yeah, that's on the next page, and I think that really relies on that. Remind me who approached Tom about the work release besides the Civil Air Patrol? Or what we talked about in the last 2 weeks?
Was it the city? I thought the
I
city.
thought it was, but what was it for?
They just wanted the building.
Okay. We don't know what for.
No. Possibly a police station, possibly.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along, new incident claims.
Ms. Brittany?
No new claims since last week.
What day was the one that we received the drowning? Was that Friday?
The what?
That's not a new one though.
That's not a new one.
No.
Oh, okay, that's the old one, sorry.
I
see what
it was
you're
the
saying,
venue,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so none since last week. Ms. Brittany, you're on here again for the BOCC appointment of members to boards and committees. Do we have any open positions that you want to talk about?
We do have some coming up in December. The whole current youth advisory board is up. I did reach out to the assessor's office to let them know, and they said that all of their members have chosen, if they could be, to be reappointed, but that if you guys have any individuals interested, to send them to the website so they can apply.
Okay, and on that, we have every district covered.
Let me double check here. Cooley City, Moses Lake, and then 3 Quincy individuals.
Well, that's overwhelmingly District 3.
No, but I will say that we have a lot of ag in District 3. I don't think District 3 has the most ag, but we do have a lot of ag in District 3.
Well, production is probably more than District
But I
1,
guess, yeah,
but land is probably more
have
in
more
District
land.
1.
So if the board wants to make any changes, you'll have to
okay.
let us know there.
Thank you, Brittany.
Okay, next on my list is records request. I just wanted to, I think we briefly touched on this last week. But so the big records request for all of the emails and text messages between the board and each other and staff and Kirk, they gave them a installment. And from reading the installment, they're now coming back for more records requests.
This is a really huge one that
Yeah, so now
they
it's
said that
gotten
we don't have to worry, well, Mike said we don't have to worry about it now until we're doing
the
piecemealing it or
installments.
something. Okay.
Yes, so they're doing the installments between Kirk and I, and then that, after they got the installment, they're now coming for more stuff, so.
You mean, not just more installments, they're coming for more
More,
stuff.
right.
Oh my.
Related to the installments, so it's keeping the records officers.
So when
and
you're talking
myself
about the
busy.
installment, like the first grouping or whatever,
So you have the big records request,
and then they
which
broke it down.
they've shot it
Okay.
off for another installment.
Okay.
So I feel that records request is just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, yeah. So we're still working on that between Mike, Emily, and I, and Kirk and everyone, so got that going on right now. There's that.
So in other words,
About letting
they
us know.
added information they wanted in the request than what they originally asked for.
Yes, correct. The The next one is Board of Equalization. I wanted to let you know that Jerry's last day was October 10th. So he is completely done with his portion of Board of Equalization. And he did keep under the 40 hours a month. You had wanted 20 hours a month and you gave us 2 months, so 40 hours max. For the commissioner's hours, it was 37 total. And for Board of Equalization, he had guesstimated about 100, but it ended up being 158.5 hours.
Yikes.
So he is completely done. Brittany and Caitlin are going to start when the trainings become available. Unfortunately, the training isn't available until May. So if something comes up between now and then, like those special hearings that the assessor's office wanted, we'll have to figure out what we can do.
But I thought we had is this the one that they would train individuals if we needed it?
Yes, we're kind of getting, I think, mixed answers on that.
Okay.
So maybe as the time goes by, we'll be able to settle that down. But
So did the
Jerry's
Board of
done.
E, that came out of Board of E, the budget, or did it come out of the commissioner's budget?
Board of E,
Okay.
yes. So he is done and on to retirement.
So if that we don't get a change there, are we gonna maybe ask Jerry to come and help at the first of the year next year?
If
Is that
we
what you're
had to,
talking about?
if we had to, yes.
Okay.
We're hoping that we can make it through with Caitlin and Brittany. Caitlin's the primary, or Brittany's the primary, Caitlin's the secondary. And the Department of Revenue knows the transition's happening right now, so hopefully they will work with us. There's quite a few hearings that the assessor wanted to reopen, so I guess we'll see appeal. Did I say that right, Brittany, the appeal status? Was it the assessor's office that wanted to do that?
So what the Board of E voted on, the assessor's office doesn't agree, is that?
And they want it to go to the BTA.
Oh, okay, so it just gets moved on, okay. Yes, it'd be the
I'm
BTA,
really trying to understand, this whole Board of E thing is just way over.
Bureau of
But
Tax.
I'm
whatever.
learning slowly but surely. Okay, so there's that. Contracts for renewal. You probably saw the emails that I sent out about all the contracts we're ready to see about moving forward. There's quite a few for the commissioner's office, and I just want to confirm that you do want to move forward with it, which I'm pretty sure you do, but I thought I would ask. So the first one, and I didn't list these out here, the Vietnam Veterans of America. Do you want to allow them to continue utilizing the Wheel-A-Wheel?
Did we ever get the numbers
Yes, they were
Okay.
forwarded to you probably.
3 months
sent
ago?
out, yeah.
Okay, I know.
Now that we've resolved our veterans office issue, I don't see any problem.
I think the last one that we did was a 2-year lease,
Let's do a 12-month.
just 1 year.
We'll have a new commissioner.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 year. Okay, and then the Columbia Basin Dispute Resolution Center, she'll be coming to see you guys next week. Their recording fee surcharge agreement is coming due. Couple for tourism,
Yeah, I mean, that was a no-brainer, yes.
yeah, cause they get our, not recording fees, but
Filing fees.
filing fees, thank you. Well, I guess it's a recording fee surcharge agreement, so I apologize, it is a recording fee. Tourism has the Cooley Creative contract and also the travel planner. Miss Caitlin, do you feel that we are in a spot that we want to renew both of those? What are your thoughts on that?
The Tourism Commission is supposed to discuss and decide at their next meeting if they want to recommend Cooley Creative renewal. I really want to say that we're good when it comes to the renewal for the Columbia Basin Herald, but I don't know a whole ton about that one.
Okay,
That's the planner?
so more to come.
Okay, so those are all due at the end of the year too. I can't believe it's already almost November. The Grant County Animal Outreach, I think they're gonna be coming to the board, potentially requesting more.
Yeah, they are asking for an additional
I don't think they gave you a number, did they?
Yeah, it was like, was it 300?
Well, they were asking
150.
for 240 to get through the rest of this year. We're like,
The problem is, if
They
they
want-
walk away, we get to take it over. So,
So we'll have to decide here in the next month or so.
probably
Because right
figuring
now
that
it's
because I think they need
100,000.
it right now, yeah.
Yeah, so you do have another meeting with them the beginning of November, so stay tuned on that one. Rob, maybe you can help me with this one, the consulting services agreement with Sandra Van Osten, is that, we will not be renewing that because we're gonna potentially go to someone else, is that
Yeah,
correct?
we're done with her. She's retiring.
We will not.
And Brittany and I worked on that on Friday, and we might just take care of it together.
Okay,
It obviously depends on if I'm still there next year, but if I am, she thinks that through the early part of the year we could do it.
okay. So we're not renewing that one. The next one is the municipal services agreement with the Economic Development Council. That's an annual one.
Yeah, I think we committed for a 3 or 4 year.
Okay, so renew on that.
Well, look
one.
on and see what that,
It expires the end of this year.
Is that for the-
building prosperity, I think? Building prosperity. I can double.
Okay,
check
that
on this one.
building prosperity, is that the EDC? Because that should be through Yakima, not Hope Source, but building prosperity.
I'll double check that.
But
report
that
back
could be their
this
new,
afternoon.
that could be their, that 3-year thing. Was it a 3-year, 2 or 3 year? Is that what they're calling it? The EDC.
Yeah, I will double check, cause I remember seeing it last week and now I don't remember
Candy
the
Jader,
details.
Jager. She was one, something prosperity. But it was probably something different, but it had the prosperity word in it.
Okay, I will double check on that one.
Yeah, let's look at the EDC.
Okay, then we have another recording fee surcharge agreement with New Hope, the Housing Authority, and Moses Lake. So I'm assuming that that's just going to continue with the status quo. I know
I
that
believe, yeah, we got the
Carrie-
recommendation.
Okay,
Correct, Rob? Yeah, Rob was the group that made the recommendation. Keep everything the same.
and it's a housing agreement.
recording fee
2160.
surcharge agreement with New Hope, Housing Authority, and Moses Lake. Is that the one where someone Moses Lake wanted more?
Yeah, but we had to figure out their, I think it was their sales of property, their REIT sales, so that we could figure out the amount.
Yes.
And then it was new legislation that kicked in probably 3 or 4 years ago. Gil Alvarado, we didn't know about this, so we did a little research, and so they are entitled to that.
So just as far as.
But the other, that Moses Lake is, but the other, we can do this, like, put it wherever we deem
Okay.
necessary.
So I'll work on those. I've sent out the email to all the other electeds and department heads to see what they have out there that they want to renew as well. A couple little things, this is gonna go fast. We received a phone call from a Kentucky former Supreme Court justice. He would like a commissioner to call him back relating to public defense. And I just assumed it would be the chair, so Cindy, if you want to pass this. He's got a complaint against their public defender and they're not returning his phone calls.
Okay.
He has a complaint against our public defense.
So I just wanted to get that to somebody. I talked to him for a bit on Friday.
Former Kentucky Supreme Court Justice.
Yes. He must know, he knows somebody here.
It's an entitlement to wanting answers.
It's an entitlement to wanting answers, he said.
You know, he wants some answers probably in a
It's not-
case, and they may not.
So I don't know if this,
Sometimes you can't
Person
give
is
information to,
incarcerated.
about,
Yeah.
like if I was a client, they would not be able to give information to somebody else. So I would
that
call.
might be what's going on. Also got another email for Thursday about the Columbia Basin Development League membership, and if I recall, you put 5,000 in the budget for next week, correct? Next year. CBDL.
Yeah, and the 133 account.
Okay, so this is.
And Mandy was going to make sure that we could take it out of the 133 account.
And it has to go for wages, salary.
But I think we put it in, didn't we leave it in?
I think I remember you seeing Mandy type 5,000, because that's what we've been paying previously. So I'll find.
So she was gonna do some research.
To increase or to renew or increase, they want me to click on a link, and so I just wanted to make sure that you were interested in moving forward before I click the link to see what the invoice looks like.
Let's see.
Okay. Danny, you had some questions about the minutes, some corrections. Just to kind of go over, I discussed Daryl's portion of it, and I have him read what Caitlin had put in there, and he said it was accurate the way she typed, so that was good.
Right.
Thank you for catching the Scrivener's errors on the Columbia River treating versus treaty. Thank you for that. One thing I was gonna state, because you said that you did not attend the Priest Rapids Dam tour. One of the things that the consultant suggested during our lien process, you know how our agenda, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, it has all of the meetings listed out that you're gonna attend outside of here? Her recommendation is to not do that. Her recommendation, because then, like, after the fact, we're finding out 2 weeks later that you didn't attend, which is fine, but the minutes were inaccurate. So she is suggesting that, like on, this isn't it, but on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, how you have all your stuff listed, she is suggesting just to put a header, potential meetings that commissioners will attend, and just bullet them out. Not where, not when, not nothing. So if you go find.
If you go will
don't
attend, may
find-
attend, I guess that
May
would be
attend,
may
yes,
attend.
that's the word, may
Okay.
attend, thank you. So that is something she is suggesting that we change when we go
Okay.
to the new process. So I just wanted to confirm with you that that is something that we are looking into
Yep.
doing. And that way, if you attend, fine, if you don't, fine, but then we don't have to continuously, you know, change it, yeah.
You got the change to Dinah Rolu.
Yes, yes. Is Christina Ribella still there?
She still works
Was
there.
she, okay,
She
'cause
wasn't,
I didn't recognize her when,
something they said that she wasn't able to come, family emergency or a child sick or something.
I guess I don't know the difference, what they look like, so that was my error. Okay, so that's that. Now we're recording, so that's the other big thing.
Woo.
Yeah, and there's your little papers, just in case.
Okay, I did reach out to Rebecca. The Live Nations called Legends, who does the food and alcohol, I believe it's food and alcohol for Live Nations.
Yeah.
The sheriff's office signed a letter. They want to change the way they, I think instead of canned alcohol, they want to be able to mix it so they can control the alcohol that goes in, maybe like lessen it or, anyway, they just wanted to change how they do it. Joey, our sheriff, sent a letter of support. They asked, the State Liquor Cannabis Board needs a letter from the commissioners, so I'm over that. And Rebecca discouraged me from signing a letter of support because it could, you know, if there was an accident, we could be held liable for, you know, that 1%.
Okay.
So she thinks it may be a liability.
So that,
So then do we even sign the liquor cannabis license if we could be liable to sometimes? Like, They're just changing the method that they,
yeah, we talked a lot about
Sure.
that Friday, because the letter that you submitted was from 22.
yeah, and
now
I
they're
think,
looking for something current.
Yeah.
Okay.
so I
you-
did talk to the sheriff and he said no, and Rebecca did review it, the prosecutor's office. So
They're recommending not to sign it.
that's what Rebecca's, so more to come on that.
Okay. Because we were gonna just put your name on it.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
change it
Okay.
and.
Okay. So we won't worry about that until you let us know.
know.
Is it on the agenda for today?
It's on roundtable.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, so for further discussion then on roundtable.
I was just kind of filling you in on
Hey,
that.
is that your last item?
Yes.
I wanted to ask Caitlin something. Caitlin, on the consent agenda for this week, number 5 is a contract or an agreement that Cooley Creative is entering into. It said it required some legal, but there's no sign off by legal on that one.
Yes, so I included that memo there. So again, the response from Rebecca was in the middle of a big chunk email, and in that big chunk there was discussion of other contract reviews. So I did not print it out, but we don't have terms and conditions for this year's Fox 13 media campaign because we don't get the terms and conditions until after you say that you want to move forward. So she reviewed last year's terms and conditions, and then she will review this year's and sign off after the commissioners say if they want to move forward.
So you're saying that we should sign off on moving forward with this Fox TV thing prior to knowing the terms and conditions and whether Rebecca will sign off?
The terms and conditions, they don't change that much. And Rebecca reviewed last year's and said that she felt comfortable moving forward to see this year's. That makes sense.
So you're giving your approval to move forward and then the contract will come and then she'll review that.
Okay.
And then that would go to you guys again.
All right. Thank you, Caitlin.
I feel that the recording our meetings are definitely going to be shorter. We want to look at shortening some of our meetings.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, so Monday, while we're here, am I going to be the only one in the office? Tuesday, we're not having meetings?
Correct.
Okay.
So Tuesday we're done. Monday, Rob will be here Monday. Rob will be here Monday? But
I don't know. What is Tuesday?
Tuesday's the Columbia Basin Development League that we canceled the meetings.
But yeah, I'll be there Monday.
Okay.
So we have 2 Monday and you're gonna be gone. And tomorrow, Danny, you're remote all day, correct? Okay. Well, we'll bring
I
you,
may just, depends on how my day goes.
Yeah.
I may just tune in for the commissioner meeting.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
Um,
We'll keep our eye out and adjust the minutes accordingly. I have vacation coming up. I am leaving the afternoon of Halloween. And I'm flying to Alaska on the 1st, and I will be returning to work on the 7th. Brittany is then off on the 7th and will be back on the 14th. She's on vacation as well. So we skewed the weeks.
And Caitlin, you will be leaving on the 14th and returning.
Brittany is when?
Brittany is the 7th through the 14th. And
Okay.
Kirk is out all week. Is there anything, I'm assuming this is probably mine, right?
Yep.
Okay. Did you have a PAR for Decorah to sign?
Did not.
No. Okay, I was wondering, cause with the whole change of,
I think Gina's the one that got the, yeah, I don't,
okay.
am I supposed to, do I need to run one?
I
now?
was supposed to have it done for you, but then when you made the changes to her,
Gina has been signing those, so Gina, I think, already has it.
okay. She
Well, I
can
mean, we
sign
had
it
to
on
do
behalf of the
some
board?
corrections. We've been signing some of Decora's because we did some corrections. So I would reach out to Gina. Gina would. She knows where we're at on that.
So I reached out to Tina, but I didn't hear back from her. She's got a lot of.
Okay, and Gina might know, but yeah, Gina, we've been correcting.
Okay.
I think then we had to do another correction and.
Okay, yeah, and that's probably why I don't have the right one for you too. So hopefully I'll have it today, so you can sign it on the same day. Is there anything
I have to put a little note
else
for her pod.
I can do?
When will the next training be for, we approved it for the Laserfish transition?
She now is working on it from home
Okay.
and working through, what is it, Cities Digital, and working with TS. So they've got her, we call it VPN access into our stuff. So now she's working with CDI to write the code behind the scenes. So as soon as that stuff gets written out, then she presents it back to us and we learn how to
So she's
utilize
working
the
on it,
system.
okay,
Yes,
so, okay.
yes, she
So
just
this
won't
year,
be
could be
here.
this year.
It could be this year,
Is that the lean?
yes,
Okay.
for the Laserfish. It's just funny because you've got 3 now massive software implementations coming on between PAX and Tyler Tech and now our office, so people are gonna be tired of software changes.
Yeah, Tech has definitely been.
Challenging.
Well, I think, like I said, we didn't go through the proper steps. We took the bottom and moved it up to the top. It has arms, it's just not connected to a body.
Hopefully Laserfish rollout is way smoother than the other 2. We knock on wood, hope I didn't jinx us.
Okay, well, that'll
So
be
yeah,
good to have that.
We're really excited for that. Yeah. I will be off Thursday as well. I'm meeting my parents in Leavenworth. So I actually got them to get out of the house.
Well, fine.
They don't get out much.
Neither do I.
They haven't been to
Understand.
Leavenworth in like 25 years,
They
I
haven't
think.
been
They haven't been, yeah. So I'm like, just meet us in the middle.
all best.
So I'm taking Serenity and Hannah and I haven't seen Serenity in a while. Yeah.
I'm sure it's beautiful up there.
That's what I was thinking. It'd be
They were
nice.
just talking about Lake Leavenworth, over the weekend. 40% of the homes are owned by people that don't live there.
Wow.
Other people that live there, yeah, can barely afford to live there.
Yeah, because of
The workforce, they're having a hard time finding the workforce because they can't afford to live there.
Unintended consequences of their resort community they've created, huh?
That's too bad.
It's a cute little.
And they were just trying to do it to build up, you know, they
Tourism.
did it to build up the economy of their town and have a unique thing.
Yeah.
Them and like Twisp, is it Winthrop? Winthrop and them, it's the same thing as,
That's a beautiful area.
Oh, Roslyn's that way, Roslyn's going that way,
Yeah.
Clay Allen.
Really pretty.
are we gonna go into recess, Madam
Okay,
Chair?
sorry, it is 10:01. We are in recess until 10:30. We meet with Kim from, Amanda Kim from our accounting department.
Perfect, okay.
Good morning. Morning, it is 10:35. We are here, all 3 commissioners. Rob Jones is online, Danny Stone and myself. We are in the office, or in the hearing room. Accounting is not here for the update. So Caitlin or Brittany, do you want to reach out to Mandy and see if she would like to have her meeting?
Yes, I will call her. Commissioners, Mandy is out sick today.
Okay, well, it's 10:37. We will be canceling this meeting and resume. We will be going into recess until 11:30 when we meet with Sheriff Crete. Good morning. It is 11:30. We are here with the sheriff for our monthly update. And I just want to announce that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on YouTube. Kind of like celebrities.
Very nice addition, by the way, on that, I think. Very good. So a couple things. I feel like I said this to you about 2 times ago that I met you. I'm gonna try to come in with a quasi type agenda a little bit better. I feel like sometimes I've been kind of all over the place a little bit when I've had some updates, but I want to keep it short enough and to also, if you have any questions for me at the end, you have the opportunity to do that. So for us right now, our priority currently, and as still is recruitment, as it has been since I've taken over office. We have 7 actual vacancies currently on the patrol side of things under the sheriff budget. Now when I say, as I keep going, I'll explain what the 7 openings specifically are. So within our sheriff's roster, we currently have 15 vacancies. Of those 15 vacancies, 8 people are either in our FTO program, in the academy, or in the conditional offer background process. So of the 15 vacancies we do have 8 people in the process of getting ready to fill those 15 vacancies. So that's what leaves the actual 7 openings that we do need to fill with new hires that'll eventually go to the academy or in the field training officer program or into our conditional offer process, which is the background first. So there's actually 7 openings of those 15 vacancies, if that makes sense. Of those, 4 positions or 4 assignments are within our traffic unit. We have 1 in our special operations unit, 1 INET detective, and 2 in our crime reduction team we haven't filled yet. And then I talked about we have 7 openings in the actual 4 patrol crews for the road. So.
Joey,
Sure.
in your explanation there,
Mhm.
some of those positions seemed like they wouldn't, be for a new hire. They would be people moving up into new positions.
Backfill
And then
is
you're
what we-
backfilling them
Yeah.
with patrol
Yep. So
experience. It seems like they would take experience, some of those.
some of them do. Yeah, like for instance, our detective at INET. In fact, we did our first interview today because that's a promotion. So that will take from our existing current staff that we have people working already that are testing for that promotion of detective. So that's a good example there that some of those will fill that opening. But nonetheless, when the opening's there's always the backfill stuff because they'll come from a patrol spot and they'll go to the detectives, which will vacate a patrol position. So I always try to include our conditional offers that we have that are out there, people in the background process, because we can't give 2 conditional offers for 1 position. So I always count those in there, kind of the equation of how many openings or vacancies that we have. So that's a good observation because most of them are backfill positions, but I don't start backfilling those special operations positions other than the promotions until our patrol staff gets full first. That's our primary.
And you have 4
function.
patrol, or what'd you say on patrol?
On patrol, we have 7 right now.
7, okay,
Yeah.
my numbers were not, okay.
Now, again, of those 7, three people will be coming off of FTO within 3 months.
FCO.
One of them's the field training officer program. One of them's coming off probably within a few weeks. She'll be filling a patrol spot, one of the 7 openings that she'll fill. And then the other 2 were our lateral hires that we had. And they'll have to go through, they kind of do a modified field training program. And they'll go in roughly about 10 to 12 weeks, they'll go in and fill patrol spots on there. So hopefully I can grab a couple more laterals, which gets them filling a patrol spot a lot sooner. Entry levels take roughly about a year to be able to get them filled into a patrol spot, just because of the academy is about right around 6 months long. And then we have the 3-month field training program that they have to do after the academy and post-academy stuff. So, and there's a little bit of a gap before they go to the academy we call it 0 week, which is taking care of a lot of administrative items before they go off to the academy. And that's typically about a month, so, yeah. So it's roughly 10, 11 months before we get them back on patrol by themselves. So it takes a while, but is what it is. The good thing is we're still getting candidates. We're still having tests. We're still getting lists. The problem is the lists, like back when John and I test, we were testing with, it wasn't odd for us to go in a room with 200 people in them to take a test. But now those are turning into 20, 25 people. And then of those 20 or 25 people, you may get half of them that show up to the physical agility test and maybe.
How tough is the physical agility test?
It's not super difficult. It really isn't for an entry level people. And we advertise it, they know what they're getting into, and it's a lot easier now than it used to be.
Okay.
The state's modified it, so the standards are a lot lower than they used to be.
Why?
It's a great question. I don't have.
Because they
the
don't have
answer.
PE classes are not as important as they once were. Now
I really
it's
don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the danger is the same
Or worse.
or worse.
Yeah, I would say it's probably worse. I'm going to guess it probably has a little bit to do with a lot of things, quite frankly. I think that just the sheer fact that getting numbers in law enforcement is extremely difficult. Like I said, we used to take a test with 150, 200 people in the room. Now you're lucky to get 20, 25.
You see a lot of eagerness of your patrol deputies to want to move up into those detective positions and stuff?
Yeah.
Or do a lot
we-
of them go, no, that's not for me?
No, I think we do this. We actually have a list of 5 people this time. We have had before where it's been 2 or 3, but we're such a young agency. I was just pulling statistics today. I haven't been in office quite 2 years. I have hired 44 people. That's not conditional offers. That's hired, actual employed 44 people and promoted 25 people
Wow.
in less than 2 years.
Joe, how many have left?
We've had 9 retirements, Rob, and I got pulled away before I saw the resignations or terminations. So, between resignations and terminations, I'd be giving you a guess by saying 25 maybe ish. A lot of those resignations have been people that are going from a support staff position they've resigned to go to a corrections position. And then they've resigned from a corrections position to go to a patrol position. There's been a lot of internal resignations, hires within internally. There's been employees that have left to go to other law enforcement agencies that are higher paying jobs. We've had, I think it's less than a handful we've had that have resigned to go do work somewhere else that isn't associated with law enforcement. Most of it are people that have been in the jail that want to go to work for law enforcement or agencies, or we've had lateral transfers to larger agencies or higher paying jobs. So that's been the majority of it. But I got the number in front of me, Rob, over at my office. I ran out of time to pull that one up, but I do have it. But I think it's roughly, like I said, probably
24
25.
hires.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And like I said, that for every one I hire, I bet I probably lose 5 in a background. So that's how many more I've actually interviewed. And we've interviewed a lot. We've done a ton of interviews.
We just lost 3 deputies in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, to the state patrol. Yeah. So then we have, moving over to the corrections side, we do have 7 openings in corrections as well. There are 10 vacancies on the roster, but I do have 3 candidates in the background process. So of the 10 vacancies, 3 of those are filled by people in the background process, which gives us the 7 openings. So we are current on the support side though. Yay, we have one unit that's up to speed, up to par. So our support staff is finally looks good numbers wise. We do have 3 in the conditional offer background process. One of them will probably be done today. I'll be able to give a full-time offer of employment for a support specialist today. And then the other 2 are probably another 3 weeks out, roughly. So
Wow, it takes forever.
it does. It takes a long time, and you know.
And so do these individuals have other jobs that they're kind of waiting on, or are they just
Yeah, we,
kind of
they do,
hanging out?
they're working, most of them are working somewhere else, or wherever it may be, or
Waiting to
the
hear
lab.
back.
Yeah, just waiting to hear back. But we're very, very open with them and upfront with them that our background process takes anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. It just takes a while to go through everything and with polygraphs, psychologicals and all of that stuff,
There
so.
was a security staff person here that was,
Mhm.
are they still moving forward or are they?
No, he, in his words to me, he kind of got cold feet for the support
But was
specialist
it
spot.
through you or through Dell?
It was through us.
Okay,
It was,
it was
well,
through
at
you.
least the one that I know of. There,
Yeah.
there may have been somebody through Dell, I don't know, but we had
No, it
one,
could have been from the support. I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was,
we had one for support and I talked to him and I actually asked him if he'd be willing to test for corrections and he said he would, so. He may be scheduled to test. He's not on my eligibility register yet, but he may not have actually got the test done yet, I'm not sure. Cause we do our testing
because he
through,
did say he was gonna,
yeah, he told me he was
Move
going
on.
to as well, yeah. We do our testing through public safety, then once public safety conducts a test, civil service gets the names from public safety so they can move forward on our end of things here, so, yeah. The other thing I'll bring to you today is I'm gonna start pulling some statistical data as far as calls for service between, I'm gonna break it up between 4-week periods, cause since we meet monthly, I'm gonna break it up into 4-week blocks, so we can kind of start establishing kind of some numbers and increases and decreases as time goes on, so, from September 22nd to October 20th, yesterday, we had 1,348 calls for service,
How many?
1,348 calls for service. The highest, the top 5 highest calls that we have, we had 117 animal problems called in, 89 traffic offenses, 84 suspicious persons, 83 agency assists, and 69 collisions, and one of them was a fatality. There, one that was, I think, 68, if I remember right, was family fights or assaults as well. So, those are kind of the 5 highest we had in the last 4 weeks. So hopefully I'll be able to start showing some trends, to the commissioners about, kind of what, crime numbers that we're dealing with, every 4 weeks.
so is the animal that they're fear of the animal or
So-
there's just one roaming around?
It
Or both?
varies. So the animal calls, so how it comes in, these are based on our clearance codes, or excuse me, our circumstance codes. So basically what happens is somebody calls in and says, hey, I've got 3 dogs running around over on Patton Boulevard. That will come in as an animal problem. On that call, once the deputy goes there and finds, it was a stray or animals at large, there was 3 of them, they'll have to go in that call for the animal problem and they'll have to recode it as animals at large. So within that 117 calls of animals, you may have dog bites, you may have animals
Okay.
at large, you may have barking dogs, you may have whatever is
I
gonna
didn't
be
even
an
think about
animal
barking
problem.
dogs, but-
Yeah, whatever's gonna be an animal problem, it'll be in that 117 animal calls. And chances are every month we meet, animal calls are gonna be in the top 5. People call in a lot about animals. And our 2
Can
animal.
you give me
guys are
those
busy.
numbers on all 5 again?
Yeah, 117 was for animal
Uh-huh.
problems, 89 traffic offenses,
Uh-huh.
84 suspicious persons,
Uh-huh.
83 agency assists, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then 69 total collisions, and one of those was a fatality.
And then 68 domestics.
Yeah, 68 family fights, yeah, right around there. The agency assist, that is of course us, we may help out most of the street crimes, we may help out the state patrol with collision, various other things that we help other agencies with, so it might be medical calls for agency assist and things like that, so.
Big one for those is helping CPS, like going to houses and checking on kids and.
Your math is a little off, cause that's 6,
6 what?
top 6.
No, he threw the
I
domestic,
threw the
He's a
family
domestic
tax in
in.
because it was actually at 68, so.
68, 69.
It originally was, but I had to take all the collisions and add them up because there's property damage, there's non-reportable,
Was it
there's injury, there's fatality, so there's 5 different types of collisions. I
was
had
it
to add them
fatality
all
by
together.
Warden? Was that the one in Warden? Trying to think.
I think that one, yes, actually it was, yes. I thought for a minute it was State Patrol, that it was ours. Yeah, okay, so.
I think we had a bad one on 26 and is it 283? It's a Friday night.
No, 26 and 243 maybe.
243.
Yeah.
There is no 283. I'm trying to,
There's
28.
283.
Is there a 283?
That's the diagonal from
Freighter to George,
Freighter to George.
Okay.
from Mather Junction there to George.
Okay.
So that's the things I figured I'd bring forward and gives an opportunity if you guys have any other questions for us that I can think of and or that you can think of that I need, that you want me to go back and find answers for or anything, but hopefully that'll give me kind of a little more organized update for you and it's just some information that's going on in the county that we're dealing with the sheriff's office, so.
So how do they count the highways in the state? Is there a reason?
Well, so any odd numbered state route runs north and south.
Okay.
Even numbered ones run east and west, so it's an easy way to think about it. If that makes any sense to you.
Well, I wasn't that
Same with
old
the
when I
state
figured about I-5,
Mhm.
you know, where it
I-5
goes down I-90 and then it
yeah.
starts.
Yeah, east and west.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that, but like Highway 28 is a pretty long highway. Highway 2 is, but then you have Highway 281, you have 283, you have the 281 spur. And I feel like those ones that branch off Highway 28 carry that third digit. Now how that is or why that is
I was just
beyond
curious how
me,
they did
but-
that. I'm like, is there an easy way to
Yeah.
figure out like, okay, it's gotta be,
yeah. But like Highway 2 also has Highway 97 that runs off of it, so not just Highway 28 does.
I know, it's
Yeah,
really hard to
Highway 2
track
has Highway
highways, like
17 run
counties,
off,
it's pretty
so-
easy. You
But
know,
that's
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Isn't Highway 2 actually a US highway though?
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
it's US too, because it
US
runs
too,
all the way to
yeah.
like Illinois. It's like
Yeah.
one of the longest,
Highways.
it starts in Everett and
Yeah.
So
goes all the way
that's
to
2,
Chicago.
and
It's a
then
US
doesn't it
too.
go down? 2 is the one that each number it goes across, well, on the highways,
I think they call it
The milepost markers
an
you're talking about?
interstate, right?
interstate, I-90.
well,
I-90 is an interstate.
Yeah,
yeah,
I-5
US
is
two is not,
I-80.
US two is considered a state route or a,
it's not, national highway, or you want to call it.
yeah,
Or
not an
US highway,
interstate.
excuse me, yeah, not an interstate. Those are
It's
really,
so funny because I travel, is it 281? It's the one between Reardon and Chewelah, a state highway.
it's not 281.
It's
I know, the one I travel on, I think, is
25?
243. 25?
Is it 25?
It's gonna run north and south, so,
Yeah,
well, 25, isn't that the one that goes from Odessa to Wilbur, right?
21.
21.
yeah, 25 is probably the right one. And, you know, I drive that road and I was looking at it the other day as I was driving and I'm going, man, we have county roads in Grant County that are wider than this one.
Where'd you say, Chewelah to where, Danny? Sorry.
Reardon to Chewelah, Reardon to Valley, up through Springdale.
231.
231. 25 is the one that goes up the river, you know, Davenport all the way to Kettle
Yes,
Falls and
yeah,
up to
Sedona,
Northport.
yeah, all that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hardly any shoulders on it at all, about like this, you know, and I'm like,
It's
going,
like
this is a state
23,
highway.
243 same
This is
way.
a state highway and we have wider and better roads in parts of Grant County that are county roads than this
Yeah,
one.
right. Highway 24 is like that as well in some
Yeah.
places there, in Adams and Grant County, so, yeah. So that was really about all I had on my agenda, so, is that helpful,
Yeah,
having that?
yeah, I think that
information? Okay.
I think one thing that we just probably are gonna be talking about as we get to budgets
Mhm.
is you guys have put some things into your budget to kind of buy ahead.
Mhm.
And As we've talked about, he goes, I'm thinking, where are they gonna store this stuff? This is, and that kind of thing.
Like
You've
for
got
stuff from the
plans
jail and
for,
stuff like that?
yeah.
Yeah. So
A
like for.
lot of stuff. And,
Yeah,
and
so-
I think you're right. You need to start buying ahead. I'm just
Yeah.
like going, the logistics of this really gonna work out.
Yeah, so like for instance, mattresses, that's one of them. We're trying to look at some mattresses and I think that was one of the things on there we're thinking of, and jumpsuits and things like that we don't have to go and wait till it's open to do a big budget extension in May of 2026 and say, hey, we gotta buy this stuff now that we're here.
Are you gonna want to put this in the old work release
We'll
building
put
to
some
kind of
in
get
there.
ahead?
Yeah, we will put some in there. We'll store some behind our visitation area over in the current facility we have now. There's not a ton of storage area there, but there's some. We'll probably end up having some in the Sally Port, most likely, in the jail.
Well, can you use the old jail
Yeah, work
or
release.
the work
Yeah.
release?
Yep, we'll have stuff up there too, yeah.
Quite a bit of room. Okay,
That's what
another
I meant.
shortfall
Did I
that we
not
are
say
definitely
work
gonna
release?
have
Yeah, you did.
is the vehicles,
Mhm.
because they typically come out of, is it Law and Justice or it's one of those, so we're like $200,000 short.
Yeah, so
What's in that?
we're currently working on trying to find ways to trim that back
Okay.
already. We're thinking about that. We are.
Good,
That's-
because
that's
that's
the
just
biggest
one of those
reason-
like, we,
That's the biggest reason we took the 2 motorcycles off. That's 120,000 right there, that we're not having to do. But we're also looking at another car, possibly paying for it at a 109, possibility of it. So that'll be another one that's
the
usually,
INET is
60,
109,
yeah,
INET,
which
okay.
is typically what, 60 grand a car roughly, just with all the equipment stuff, and is that about right?
Mhm.
So there's another
That's a good
60, so
job,
now we're
yeah.
getting into 180, so, but we're definitely.
Okay, just because I've been a
Yeah.
little. oh,
No, we're thinking of that for sure. We definitely are.
See.
That's the biggest reason why we chopped the 2 motorcycles. It's 120 grand and they can wait. So,
They only run those 6 months of the year.
maybe 7. It kind of depends. It's a new generation of deputy, Danny, and I'm probably the last one that rode a motorcycle in January here at the sheriff's office. So, and that was.
Are you saying they're less hardy or you're not as smart or what?
It could be both.
Yeah, the
It could be
leather,
both.
we could afford the leather.
There were many days that I started on the motorcycle and ended up in the car because it ended up snowing later. There were many days
This is
like that.
crazy.
I just, at the time, I was more comfortable being on the bike. I didn't really care for my car. It was uncomfortable. It hurt my back to be in my car. I just didn't like it. So I
So what car did you have?
don't know, 97, no, actually,
Crown
it was a Caprice. A Crown Vic. It was a 06 Crown Vic. I dated myself when I said 97. No, it was an 06
Oh
Crown
gosh,
Vic.
they didn't like you. Somebody didn't like you to put you in that.
Yeah, that's what
I
our
just
fleet
figured
was.
when the
That's
Crown
what they
Vics
were.
went, the overall morale would pick up, because who would want to drive your grandma's car?
Yeah. But that's what they all were back then. It just wasn't, they weren't comfortable. The seats were extremely flat. There was no contour to them and it hurt my back. So I just dress warm and hop on the bike.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be cold though. I wouldn't be cold. Yeah,
Mhm.
just did it. Just
Yeah.
did it.
Commissioner Carter's correct. That was, we could see all of this, but we were like 200,000 shy and
Yeah.
it's like,
Well,
Thank you for looking at it,
yeah.
'cause I'd rather have you fix it
Yeah.
than,
So we've trimmed about 180 so far.
Okay.
And we're not done yet. So we're still okay. So.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there,
Yeah.
like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, we knew that was, we expected that. We knew that was gonna be there and so we tried to plan a little bit ahead to do that, so.
I think we were using 4 million to balance our budget. And then there's a lot that's coming out of current expense. And then we have all the new salary. Yeah, it's definitely,
Yeah.
everything is not gonna be a yes this year.
Well, we don't even.
So
think
look
we
at
asked
that
for-
like,
We didn't ask for a whole
ooh.
lot, so.
Oh,
I
no,
don't
but
think-
well, some of yours are,
Yeah, I don't think we
some of
asked
the
for a whole
others
lot.
kind of like,
Yeah.
is it critical?
We didn't ask for any little extras, I guess.
The only
We're
one
pretty,
thing we asked for is the Gallup survey, which was
Yeah.
like 15 grand.
um,
So other than that, we didn't.
Vest, ammo, yeah.
Well, I mean,
That's all
Yeah,
that says
no,
in
but
stuff.
we've always said yes. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
what commissioner is gonna sit here and say no to ammo or vest?
I was looking at
the
consent
best isn't helping, I think.
and you have a couple of emergency management ones. And the grant on number 14 you were asking for has no indication of legal review on what I read online. It said it's supposed to be reviewed by legal, but it didn't show that it was.
Is that the one that was pulled? No,
That's the emergency management performance grant for 48 grand.
I think that was one that should have been sent over there because I talked to Maria on that when I signed it and asked her to make sure that it went to Rebecca before it went on the agenda, and she said it was going to, so.
It was checked, but I didn't see the note or
I don't
any
actually
Unless it's
signature.
an email confirmation.
Unless it's, oh, I'm gonna look at EM, sorry, I was looking at the sheriff's office, I apologize. There's two of them there. You'll have to ask Rebecca, because Maria was supposed to send those over, so that I don't know if so here's what we were told by Rebecca is she wants us to sign the contracts, being the sheriff's office, if we're in there, before she gets them, and then before it gets to you guys.
Okay.
Excuse me, the board signs it before she does, that's what it is. So that's why you haven't been seeing signatures from the prosecutor's office on contracts, because they're waiting until you sign it, the
Oh,
board.
we thought it was
And I
the other
thought-
way around.
It used to be the other way.
No,
Well,
no.
double check with her, because that's what she told,
Oh, just let me ask Brittany and,
that's what she just
Okay.
There's a bunch of them that come through on this
I know, and I've-
consent today have signatures already.
and I've seen them, they used to do that with us too, 100%, no, I know. So I don't know if it was just those ones or what, but yeah,
Okay.
Rebecca just went through this with Josh, I think it was Josh, on some current ones that said, no, the board signs it, then I get it and sign it after the board signs it. And we went, I said, well,
Well, after the board signs, Josh gets it, but Rebecca comes to Rebecca before it gets
it
to
should
us.
be signed by, all the other ones we've had signed by Rebecca before it gets to you guys.
Maybe there's some misunderstanding.
And that's what I'm thinking, there probably was too.
Also, there's a budget extension for our spill prevention preparedness and response equipment grant from WSDA, Department of Ecology. Is this a request for a hearing? Or is this actually we can sign on this budget extension?
Document.
Usually a budget extension is like a hearing.
That's number 15, is that
Yeah.
right? Do you have the actual document in front of you? I'm gonna go.
2335 spill prevention preparedness and
I'm gonna go
response.
to the document and look
Oh,
at it here.
I guess I'm probably because
SPPREG 2325.
It's gonna take me a minute. Uh-oh.
Here, it's probably easier, it's a very top one.
Yeah, no, I got that, I'm just trying to
Okay.
look at the actual document on my iPad, which it's not loading.
By the way, that's a
Oh,
cool
yeah.
case with the keyboard and everything.
It is handy.
I can't get that from my tablet.
Oh, it kind of hangs over.
They have a separate keyboard.
Yeah, the other ones that I had that
Usually
didn't hang
sit right
over,
on top.
they would tip over
Okay.
when I'm working with my lap.
That's pretty sweet.
It keeps not loading. I'd love to be able to tell you, but I
Okay.
can't get it to load. This happens every time I try to open these up on here. It doesn't ever work.
So how about we have Maria come here today?
Yeah.
She's like, don't
That'd
make
be
me
great.
do that.
Yeah, I can do
She's
that.
the one that
With the budget extension, sorry to interrupt, I believe that this one, we have the financial form from Mandy, but I believe that this would be part of the big budget extension that's in December for the hearing.
And so are you saying that we won't approve item 15 until budget extension, or are we approving a budget extension
Oh, this is a
later?
grant they have.
I believe you would be, approving it, and then the hearing for it would be part of the big one in December, if I
Okay, so
understand this
we're
correctly.
approving it. We're gonna approve a hearing.
Request a budget extension.
That sounds like what we'll do, is approve a hearing. for
Emergency
the
management was
year.
awarded this grant after the current budget was finalized.
yeah, because it's always that.
So 23, 25. So, okay, it's a 2-year.
So it should be a budget extension for I'm guessing for the additional revenue coming in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can't get my iPad, it keeps dying, or not dying, but the screen shuts off when I try to scroll down to item 15, so.
Really liking your setup there.
It's great when it works, how's that?
But it probably works most of the time.
It does.
And
it
did Joe
does.
get that set up for you?
Yeah, PS, yeah. Well, they told me which one to order and I ordered it. So. Yeah, I can't
I like it.
scroll, so.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
very
you
much.
betcha, hopefully that was
Yeah, it was informative.
So I'll try to start doing more of that type of format maybe.
Do you have anything, Rob, before we adjourn?
Nope, nothing.
Okay, well, thank you for.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob.
It's 11.
See you, Joe.
We are in recess until
Here, Rob.
1 o'clock. Also be available on YouTube, so if you don't get enough of us here, you can watch us on YouTube. So review of consent agenda items. Any questions? Rob is not with us. Ben, do you have any questions on consent
Maybe
agenda?
some of these folks have.
Would any of our visitors like to comment on the consent agenda?
So I think you've already probably seen my email regarding Granicus. My recommendation would be to not enter this contract.
Number 12.
What's that?
Number 12, item number 12.
And I apologize, it's still downloading the documents, so more likely than not, but
Did you see my email?
I did,
Okay, I've
so
not read it. If you send me a
I
response.
sent a response. So it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but it's my understanding that SmartGov, the product SmartGov was bought out by the company Granicus. So this is the first time entering a contract with Granicus specifically for SmartGov. In the previous years, we've entered a contract regarding SmartGov, but it hasn't been under Granicus.
That is correct.
That is my understanding. So this is the first time the county has contracted with Granicus, and Granicus's contract allows for Granicus to unilaterally change their contract and not even notify the county, and only post the changes to their website. So I did a little bit of a Google search, and it does appear that the city of Kent, for a different product Granicus offers, did enter a contract specific to Kent, and I looked over the contract, and it took out a lot of the provisions that I was concerned about. And so my recommendation would be to enter negotiations with Granicus and to specifically take out the ability for them to unilaterally change the contract. I do understand that SmartGov is a critical system for the county, so that if it's so critical that the commissioners feel that they can enter this contract, taking on that risk, that would be up to the commissioners, but my recommendation is to not enter this contract and to negotiate with Granicus a more reasonable contract.
I mean, if we don't sign, if we wait, is there an issue with it, or will it kind of stop us in our tracks?
If we lose SmartGov, we won't be able to issue permits for the
Okay.
county.
So when is the,
Payment was due in July.
okay,
And to be clear, I only received the contract in on September 19th.
And to add to that, nobody was aware that Granicus bought SmartGov, and they didn't notify us. And we started getting emails about a past due, and it was like, well, we don't have a contract with you. And that's when we even found out that Granicus bought SmartGov. So that was, nobody knew that they even did it. You know, SmartGov didn't notify us, Granicus didn't notify us, and then they just said, by the way.
One thing that I have not asked is what was our contract previously? I think that might.
Well, so SmartGov was bought by Brightly. And
Okay.
so the contract was with Brightly, who used to be Dew Solutions,
Okay.
but
It would be interesting to actually see what that contract was, and I just kind of assumed that had expired. But I haven't seen the contract.
I think it probably expired when Granicus bought them, so I don't know that it was expired. But
Can you forward it to me?
I don't know that I'll have to look, I don't know that I have it.
Okay, do you know who would?
Not sure. I can do a little research and see if I can find it.
Cause that might have some provisions in there that would help the situation, but I'd have to look at it.
Of note, when we went to Civic Plus, we had done for our website, we had done an RFQ and we interviewed Municode, Granicus, and Civic Plus. And we selected Civic Plus, who eventually bought Municode, so Municode was out of it. But Granicus, we didn't like the presentation and we didn't like the company. And they hounded us for like 6 months after that and told us what a mistake we were making by going to Civic Plus. And it was not a pleasant experience with Granicus, and they promote themselves as government centric. We're here to help. Just my 2 cents.
We need to continue using
SmartGov is
SmartGov.
critical for public works too.
It is a critical component.
Yeah.
And for the health district as well. And to Tom's point, Granicus does, I mean, they provide several solutions. They are used, like I said earlier in our update, they're in 225 municipalities in Washington State and 5,500 in the United States. So they're well marketed. Yeah. They provide permit solutions, short-term rental solutions. They do agendas and minutes, meetings and live streaming, communications and websites, which is what Kent entered into. A site-specific, product-specific agreement with the city of Kent. What this is a services, a subscription agreement for product that they offer. So I don't know if that makes it different, but that was a site-specific product.
I don't think it was different because it's still at the very bottom of Kent's agreement. They attached the original proposals and they had to X'd out all the concerning language that the language that was concerning to me, so anyways, I do understand SmartGov is a critical component, but the contract as it stands has some significant concerns from my perspective. So I really don't have anything further beyond. It has some significant concerns. I'm very concerned about it. Granicus being able to unilaterally change the contract.
What could they change?
They keep it open. It's pretty much anything.
During that period of time? So is this an annual or is this, how long does this last for, this agreement? I mean,
So I believe it's an automatic renewal every year, and you have the ability to terminate, and I can't remember the time frame, but you have to give them notice of the time frame to terminate.
So really, if we
prior to that renewal.
If we would sign this, it would be for 9 months, and then we'd have the opportunity to renegotiate that, I guess.
Potentially, I mean, it would be for, I believe, a year, and then.
Okay. It's not from the July. What is the agreement start in July, or did it?
I'm not sure. I didn't look that closely.
Just trying to get an idea of what risk we have.
So they're in fear of terminating our,
Yes.
basically our SmartGov platform.
It's how we issue all our permits.
Okay.
We can certainly try that, but once you sign it, you kind of lose your leverage.
For 9 months or maybe a year.
Yeah.
In your comments that I read, Rebecca, you mentioned that you really couldn't terminate it because if they tried to, I mean, there must be a way to terminate it.
So I'm sorry, I was not clear on that. I was responding to
Redscape.
I'm sorry?
Is that Redscape? Is that the one?
No, I was responding to Chris's letter that said that if the county decided they wanted to terminate or cancel is what the word he used. If Granicus decided to change the contract unilaterally, the county could just decide to cancel as long as they gave 30 days notice. That is not correct. if during that year, the only basis for termination outside of the termination when prior to renewing is a breach of contract. So if there was a breach of contract, you would have 30 days to terminate the contract after allowing Granicus time to cure. However, the unilateral provision that for Granicus the provision that allows Granicus to unilaterally change the contract, if they change the contract, they would not be breaching that contract. So you don't have those 30 days that Chris was saying you have.
But at the end of the contract, you just have to give them 30 days notice and you can terminate it at the end of that 1 year.
I don't recall how much notice, but you have to give them notice. I'd have to go back and look at the provision.
If we didn't like a change, we could obviously go to a different company and just remove Granicus from our system and start utilizing the new one and then warn of termination at the end of the contract.
Sure, yes.
Joe Carter from TS also has his hand up in case you wanted to ask him about this contract.
Joe, obviously you have something to add. Would you like to comment?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yep. So typically when we renew these contracts, they're an annual renewal. So it would be paid in full for the entire year. So it wouldn't be a month by month thing. So your negotiation would be at renewal regardless.
Okay.
That was what I was trying to say, but you did it much better.
Rebecca, take a look at 3C, this SOW term. If no specific termination date is designated in the SOW, client may terminate the SOW upon 30 days written notice to Granicus. But you're right, we're still on the hook. Joe's right, we're still on the hook for that payment for that year. But if they did something out of control to our agreement, we could exit in 30 days. Because there's no specific termination date as part of this agreement, because it's a continuation type agreement. Since it's a.
So I'm not looking at the agreement. It appears that the agreement needs to be signed sooner than later so we don't halt all of our permits.
Jim, you might know that. I don't know. What's our situation with it?
Well, it's, being reviewed. I mean, so really where this came to our attention from Vanessa. So Vanessa in Tom's office is, trying to get this invoice reviewed and paid. And then she deferred it to us since we're the heaviest user of SmartGov. So I don't exactly know because that's in her wheelhouse. So maybe Tom knows. But.
Well, yeah, it's a renewal fee. I mean, we received the invoice and we've been getting phone calls asking us when we're gonna pay it, and that's when
That's what we didn't know. It was,
Yeah,
we're a little late.
Well, we're, back in July. So, but what happened was we see it's from Granicus and we knew it wasn't Granicus and it was a different contract. So Vanessa sent it to the prosecutor's office for review because it was different. And that's how this whole ball of wax
Okay.
started. So, but my suggestion would be, I think if Granicus is in how many municipalities?
215 in the state of Washington.
Yeah, so.
225 in the state of
225,
Washington,
you know-
and over 5,000 government offices.
My suggestion, knowing the risk, understanding the risk, would be to get the invoice paid so that we can move on with building permits and not have the fear of losing the ability to do building permits. And then research whether or not that's a software we want to stay with.
So are
And
you,
then work on the contract for renewal.
so you're suggesting that we go ahead and pay, but not necessarily sign this yet until we are comfortable with it? Because if we've paid for it, they're likely not to shut off the service.
I don't know that they would, but
That's
You have the risk of the
idea.
contract, which is real
Yes.
and needs to be mitigated, but we also have the risk of losing the ability to do building permits.
Okay,
So we would pay it, but we would take the time we need to see if we can make an adjustment to this.
So, yeah, open that negotiation and say, hey, we're really unhappy with the way that this went and we need to discuss this. And start that negotiation.
Proceed. So then that makes everybody happy, because then we can take our time to see if we can make an adjustment to that. All right? Is it Joe that?
Any thoughts on that?
I don't really have any thoughts, yeah.
Because we haven't agreed to their agreement, but we've paid for it, so we're basically a continuation of our previous service.
we're
We're halfway there. They're likely not gonna shut us off if we've paid for it.
Okay.
Do you see an issue with that, Joe?
I do not see an issue with that. I'd say proceed with it. And if you guys want to pick a different application, you guys should start shopping for it now so that when renewal hits next year, you can be ready to step out of it and, move forward with your new application. But you better have the new application in hand already. I don't know how you're going to export out all of your existing permits in whatever status they're in. My understanding is that some of those permits can go on for excessively long periods of time. So I don't know what kind of transition this looks like. You guys would have to make that decision.
We are not exploring a transition away from SmartGov.
Okay, then pay it, and I guess if you guys have problems with the terms, I don't know. I personally, I'm not concerned with it. I don't see how they're gonna start messing with their customers. I mean, I guess if it becomes a problem, you look for another application.
Well, your leverage there is you call Granicus and you say, we need to, negotiate the terms of this contract. We weren't happy about the way, and if they bulk it all, say, we're gonna do an RFQ and then you can compete. And I'd be willing to bet that'll bring them to the table and help. And as I presented to the commissioners this morning, we have an appointment with Granicus next Wednesday to look at another module for short-term rentals. So we've already are engaged with them and have an opportunity to continue the conversation. So we'll do just that.
I will just note the agreement that's online has a order of priorities or order of how a inconsistency would be resolved. And it says that the agreement would be if there's inconsistencies, the agreement would determine the outcome. So again, going back to that termination thing, what that means, it based on this agreement, it seems pretty strict regarding the ability to terminate. All that said, it seems like a reasonable approach. I don't really have any strong thoughts. Especially if we haven't signed this agreement, I'm assuming probably the old agreement we could kind of rely on. But again, without looking at that old agreement, I don't know.
So I guess we can hold number 12 until further review, but issue a payment so that we continue doing business.
Is that gonna be a problem for accounting to be, if they don't have a contract to attach?
So Tom, can you relay that to the messenger?
I will, yeah, and I think we
Well,
already.
I'm only one commissioner. Danny, are you okay?
Yeah,
Rob's not with us.
I think we already have their W-9. I don't think accounting will question it at all, but I'll give Mandy a heads up.
I just want to clarify, number 12, the verbiage for it is the request to pay the invoice. And, so were you wanting to hold
Okay,
it?
so there is no contract with it. So I guess we can pay that invoice.
Not in
So-
this, not that
I guess that's the question then. By paying the invoice, are we talking about what's attached? Because if we're talking about what's attached, let me go back.
Typically it does. I can agree with Rebecca. There's usually a contract, maybe something.
It does have the it does have the terms and conditions. It says this quote and all products and services delivered here under are governed by the terms located at, and that hyperlink is where I'm getting all the contract issues. So if your intent is to pay this particular invoice that has the terms and conditions on the bottom of it, then I do see a problem with that.
Because you've ratified the contract by paying if that's on the face of the invoice.
So at the very bottom of this particular invoice, or this proposal, it says Granicus proposal for Grant County, so it's not an invoice.
And it says this is not an invoice right at the top.
Well, I'll go by your direction. So, I mean, it's not my
So-
piece of software, so it's not my decision.
So if you wanna pay it, if you're going to pay this proposal amount to Granicus, you would be ratifying this.
Interesting that it's not an invoice, but they're actually calling us saying, when are you gonna pay? I mean, they're actually calling us.
Yeah,
Have you, maybe call them back and ask them, do you mean the proposal that you sent us or the invoice? We don't have an invoice. I don't know.
Normally, we don't get invoices from vendors until we give them a PO, and that's after we get board approval.
I think it's just because we've had SmartGov, and we've taken it over.
We're happy with the product SmartGov, just that a different company now owns it.
Here'd be one proposal. What if we bumped it out a week, and Tom, if you could do some research and see if we can find the old contract, and that might give us some sort of, it might have some clauses in there that might be helpful.
Sure.
Like a continuance of service type clause.
Right, if it's assigned or something. So
Underneath the terms and conditions of paying this, not invoice, it says specifically that a license, if your organization, Granicus, has entered into a separate agreement or is utilizing a contract vehicle in this transaction, basically that gets incorporated into the payment of this.
correct, and it would be the controlling document if it does.
What
So
was
that-
the number of other government entities in Washington that had agreements with Granicus? 200 and something?
225.
How many of those are SmartGov users?
I don't have the answer to that. That is,
24.
yeah, that is information
I'm just
there.
saying, if it became a problem, we could probably join the other 200 and some odd entities in Washington, file a class action lawsuit against them. I just don't see it as a big.
You're not going to be
worry
able,
about.
so that's the point, you're not going to be able to bring a class action or any other kind of action because the terms and conditions of this contract allows for unilateral changing of the contract. So
And can you send them the requested changes so that they can change the terms and then we'll sign it?
that would be my recommendation, yes.
What are the chances of this being shut off on us without paying right away?
Probably slim. I mean, it's their prerogative, you know, so, but I think as long as you've got active and positive communication with them. So, but that's gonna be, I mean, I'm not the user of the software, so that's gonna be between development services and direction from our council, right, not me. So,
Yeah, but Tom, your TS department kind of guarantees that it keeps working.
Well, we guarantee it keeps working because we pay the bill. I mean, Granicus goes flip and then they turn it off because it's software as a service, right? So.
Because we do not get calls for building permits ever, ever. So, it'd be a pretty hard.
So the folks that have been involved in this, anybody have a different answer? Tom thinks pretty slim.
I think as long as you're having positive communications with Granicus, they're not gonna shut you off. So, you know, calm them, know, hey, our council has issues with this is what they are. By the way, thanks for letting us know.
Thanks for not letting us know that
I
you
had
left
to
the
put that
company.
sarcastically, right? So.
If we make partial payment, are we bound by the terms of the agreement? Because it, just throwing it out there.
So Dave, you must have a fear. Well, I'm looking at Jim, and Jim, I can tell is
Well,
not real comfortable just looking through. I can tell by it's a problem. It's gonna be a problem if we don't get it paid.
it's fine. It's fine.
Well, no, and my family fine is anything but fine. It's fine, it's like, we're not going there, we're fixing it.
It's just a little bit of a risk, but as long as we're
Fine, everything's
communicating, if we're communicating our concern and that, hey, we like the product, communicating our concern, let's work it out. But it's important, I guess, on the TS side, if, when they're making those phone calls, that we communicate the issue.
TS isn't making those phone calls.
Oh.
Who is?
We're
Yeah,
only
no, we don't negotiate anyone's
Yeah,
contract
yeah.
terms, period.
That would be
That's your
Rebecca.
guys' software.
No, I'm not saying
Yes.
negotiate, I'm just saying communicate with them that we have an issue with their terms.
Okay,
And that
so
we're
that,
working it out.
So
again,
who
not
that-
TS.
And that's
Who
the
that-
point, is TS is not going to negotiate that. So that's where I said it's fine, because apparently I'm going to do that.
Okay, so you're
So
communicating.
let me put it this way. If you had what's the Camus, what's the software you use, WinCams?
Mhm.
All of a sudden WinCams changed their contract. You want TS negotiating that contract? I have no clue what WinCams does or
Understood.
doesn't do. That's your software, right? So,
But they're calling you.
for payment.
Got
Not for the contract.
So you would let them know to talk to the client, Jim and me. Okay, understood.
Dave, you have an issue.
So if I could get the concerns, I don't know how, this is a PDF document that's online, so I don't know, I don't have an original red line. So I'll work through that with Rebecca and see how we can communicate that. I'm assuming that I'm working with Esteban Benia, is who I'm assuming I'm working through. What's concerning is that this expired on June the 30th, and they just prepared this on September the 10th. So that's a little backwards, but I can reach out to Esteban and see if we can get it figured out, so.
Can I also, and it would help if I can get the previous contract, just to see if there are any terms in that would help us during this period. There might be. I don't know.
Typically, the department that operates the software holds the contract, so it might, I don't know if Chris has it or you have it in yours, or if we have it, I'll have to go look, so. I don't hold every contract.
Technology Services doesn't have any of those contracts. If they're signed by the board, they're kept by the board, I believe.
I just need to know who the contract is named with.
It would have been with
Smart
Brightly.
Gov.
Brightly, and that would have been last year, this year.
Who owned SmartGov before Brightly?
Duke Solutions.
Yeah, but before Duke, it was.
Paladin.
Paladin, I remember that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Because I don't know that there was a contract renewal with Dude Solutions, or because Paladin was bought by Dude Solutions and then Dude Solutions transitioned to Brightly, and I mean, so I don't know.
Wherever that or wherever the most recent contract is, it would help to look at the most recent contract.
So you have three names, maybe look up.
SmartGov, Paladin, and what was the other one?
Brightly.
Brightly.
No, Dude Solutions.
Dude Solutions.
Yeah. SmartGov is the actual software. I don't think it's the company.
But we might have stored it under SmartGov.
Maybe.
Okay. Some healthy conversation there. It's 1:30. Any other, I think, number 14, emergency management. We had a question. Was this sent to the PA's office for review?
Yes,
Okay.
accounting and legal have reviewed it.
Oh, that was an easy one.
You have an email, anything that they signed off on?
Yes, I have an email. I don't have it with me, but I have emails of it. I'm saying, yes, it's good.
So you were sitting 2 rows in front of Rebecca. That would be risky for her to lie.
I'm actually looking at my contract list here. I'm pretty sure this is like the one of the ones that I reviewed. Yep, it was.
On number 13, elections has a HAVA agreement. That seems to me would need a legal review. Did you get that one, Rebecca, from elections, the HAVA agreement?
Amendment.
Amendment to it, right?
Is that a yes?
Yes, it's an amendment.
Oh, I thought you were saying yes, it was reviewed.
I didn't see any signatures or any that had been reviewed. In fact, it said it wasn't applicable to review. Just,
Is it $7,600?
it's between the Secretary of State of Washington and us.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but the HAVA grant's been going on for a number of years. We entered into that during COVID. Or it was even before COVID, yeah.
It's been a while.
So, and I think this is just the balance of the grant.
But is it?
I haven't seen anything. That being said, I might have missed something, but as far as I'm aware, I don't believe I've reviewed that one.
On like the first page, it'll tell you the purpose of the amendment. The second paragraph of the second section.
It was entered into in 2020. The amendment, this amends and restates the provisions of that certain intergovernmental grant agreement. So I really don't know what the amendment was. I guess we'll just take a little trek down to elections and go, what are we signing here? That's all I had for consent.
Okay, I don't have any, and it appears that Rob has nothing since he's not online with us.
I did have something for 15. This was signed off, this grant agreement, but now we are actually trying to spend. And we did not have this grant in our 2024 budget. So we are waiting for a financial request form from Mandy.
We have the financial
do you-
form.
okay.
Yes, sorry, I emailed
Oh, Jessica, yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay, so you just wanted a budget extension so you can spend the grant?
Yes.
And that's for 15
At the end of the year, correct, Caitlin?
That was the impression that I was under.
Yes, so it won't be any time between now and the end of the year. She does one massive budget extension for Budget Center.
Okay.
Are over.
Do you need it before the end of the year?
We were hoping to spend before the end of the year. This grant closes June. Yeah, June of 25. It's over 120, well, it's actually $122,000 worth of equipment, so.
So it sounds like we need to do a budget extension before the end of the year.
We'll reach out to them.
Okay, thank you.
So my question on that one was, do we need a hearing to do that?
Yes.
So this,
We'll
we
advertise
can
in 2
approve the
weeks.
hearing
Okay.
then by
Okay.
that, your request.
Okay,
We'll check with Mandy first and see that that's the appropriate process.
Anything else? Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not. Okay. Rolling right back to my agenda here. Review consent agenda items, Commissioner District updates. Have any updates, Jan?
So I'll just report on the SEPTI meetings that I'm serving on a task force dealing with SEPTI. I can't even remember what the acronym means. It has to do
Clean energy
with,
property tax impacts.
what's that?
Clean energy property tax impacts.
Thank you. That's why she's here, things like that. Clean energy, property tax impacts. Basically, this is saying that we're talking about the fact that, say, solar panels or wind turbines depreciate out as personal property, and therefore the county starts out with a good amount of tax from it, and then it depreciates out, and the taxpayers pick up the rest. It's a tax shift. And this committee is trying to fix that. We're trying to come up with legislation that will fix that problem. And so this week was presenting solutions. What would we want on that kind of legislation? And there was only four individuals that put in suggestions to come up with. I think maybe we were all expecting WASAC to take all the conversations we had and put together a suggested legislative process or legislative bill that might have impact this. And at the last minute, I put in some thoughts, and all of a sudden I was supposed to speak at this meeting when I got to the meeting. So the submittals, there was 5. The first one was a primary use code change from Carla Rowe, Assessor of Columbia County, talking about basically creating a unique primary use code for renewable and clean energy industry. So we have real property, we have personal property. She wanted to start a third one that would just deal with this kind of use. The second one came from Commerce and basically was proposing that we be able to do a renewable local option excise tax. And so tax these locally with an excise tax. The third one was from Conservation Northwest, which really talked about basically requiring these companies to come up with community agreements that benefit the communities before you can go to FSEC. And that kind of is in a nutshell. The fourth one was mine, which I can give you a little more detail on. I gave 4 suggestions. I said, any subsidies or exemptions or incentives offered by the state of Washington to these companies should just be on the state portion of those sales taxes and et cetera. Those exemptions should be optional for the counties. So that we can, when they sell all this equipment and the state forgives them all their sales tax, we should have the option of saying, no, we're not forgiven, because that's really cost, like Adams County, it cost them over $500,000 having to give back. And all of our junior taxing districts would have to give back the money they got for all that sales tax. So that's a problem. I said, we need to fix that. And I also suggested that that when this personal property, one idea would be that when this personal property depreciation on a project is taking place, the commitment would be by that company to maintain that same giving that they started with and give it to our current expense fund and stay up there with it. So when that no tax shift takes place, because they're making up the difference even though their stuff depreciates out. Doubt they're going to enjoy that one. But also, renewable energy facilities should not be taxed as personal property. And this came from Daryl. It should be as real property. We call a mobile home which is barely attached to the ground, right? We call that personal property, but real estate, real property, it doesn't depreciate out. But yet these that are attached to the ground are. That doesn't seem right. And so I said, we need to change them to not personal property, but to real property. And fourth one was, we need to have the state do the assessing of these things and not depend on our local assessors who don't have that much information or knowledge about renewable energy projects and these large 4,000 acre solar farms that are coming in, and our assessors are supposed to figure out what they're worth. This should be done centrally by the state and determine what they're worth. And then be responsible for that assessment with lawsuits and challenges to that. The state would be responsible and we would have to fight that battle. Just some suggestions I made. And I think actually one of the best suggestions was the fifth one, because Paul Jewell from Wasac is pretty up to date on this stuff. And he made a thorough presentation that was a fifth one to go to nameplate capacity taxes. That's what he started out with. That means if this is assessed at 5 megawatts, that's a lot of times solar or wind doesn't really produce what its nameplate is, but assess them an excise tax at that nameplate value, and that'd be a consistent tax through the life of the project to the counties. And anyway, I can send to my other commissioners those list of things. And that was the big long meeting that I was a part of this week, and besides our budgets. And so that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Danny. I attended the Dr. Brian Williams training on managers' skills. It was actually really good, working with HR. So hopefully he comes to Grant County, and it was a 2-day training or a day and a half for the managers. And then Friday, the last day, it was a couple hours, which I didn't know how he was going to pull everything together, but he brought everybody together and got everybody fired up. And he just kind of like own it, like you're the CEO of whatever your little job is, whether it's setting the table. He was for the Ritz-Carlton. He started as a dishwasher and, had different jobs, and he went around the world, or pretty much around all the Ritz-Carltons training on customer service. And so, and like Dale said, when he finished it up, like we see customers that come in or clients that come in to renew, and why are we treating them differently? They should get that 5-star service as they're at the Ritz-Carlton. It's just delivering the service. We don't have to lower our standards because, maybe the clientele isn't the Ritz-Carlton quality, but it was just really, really good. So hopefully we get some training. We did put money in our budget again for 2025 so that we can offer like mid-management training or just training for all of our folks, because it's something we've definitely not really put a focus on. So I think I would really like to push for some training, and then whatever we need to do as commissioners so that everybody can attend these trainings instead of, we're too busy or we can't close our office. We're going to make it happen so that we can do it. That's basically my update for last week. So we have a couple other things. Animal outreach funding. They came to us last week. They are short funds for animal outreach. And I do believe if animal outreach doesn't provide an animal shelter, the county or the city, we get to do it. So I don't think it's something we can really turn our backs on.
I did speak with Rebecca about surplusing equipment, and we could probably do that the next, it's too late now, but maybe the next time they need a computer.
Because they need some
or the next time
vehicles.
they need a vehicle.
I know Public Works have got
If we have
some.
something worth surplusing, that might be something we can look at.
Yes.
So I'm gonna provide legal advice, so let me know if you prefer it tomorrow during our meeting or today, now.
You can read it now, I guess, so we're all in suspense.
So my legal advice basically was essentially that while I can make a very good argument that it is, that you can surplus to the Grant County outreach or animal outreach, because they are essentially providing a government function. It's not without risk, because there's no case law that says that that's okay. because there's no case law that directly says providing shelter for the animals is a government function. So there's no case law directly saying that. There's no case law saying that a nonprofit doing that can receive the funds. However, when you piece it all together, I can make a very good argument that would support that you can surplus the county personal property to Grant County Animal Outreach. So it's not without risk, but I think the risk is fairly low.
So we don't have to provide any animal, like if Animal Outreach were to go away, the county does not have to provide.
I have not seen a case that says that. However, when you look at the statutes, I think it's fairly clear that that's within the county's jurisdiction.
Because we are responsible for the animals that are picked up from the sheriff's office. Maybe they're a hold, some type of a hold. We do have some situations.
And that's where you can make a very strong argument saying that it is a county.
Because I thought it was something to function, because we've always said if we don't support animal outreach, we have to be careful because we could be running animal outreach.
Yep.
Grant County Animal Outreach ourselves.
That is the argument.
Okay. So yeah, they did have a request for funds. So they can finish up the year. Joe?
Almost 2.5 times what our normal yearly budget is for them, so it's not an insignificant number.
Do you know how many animals we deliver there?
It varies from when they're taking them for bites. I would have to look.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head, but it does vary. We don't, because they're full, we don't take strays in there anymore in the animal control areas. There are bites that we do take. I'd have to look.
Okay.
I really truly don't know the number. I really don't.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
So we need to continue having that discussion on for animal outreach funding, and then the letter of life support, kind of that. And I wondered if we just for changing their alcohol serving, we're just trying to figure out how. I'm a little reluctant to sign a letter of support. I mean, I don't want to bring any issues to the county.
So like again, this is attorney-client privileged information unless I share it publicly and then it dissipates, that privilege dissipates. So let me know if you prefer that we discuss it.
We can do it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
You're okay. It's just a roundtable letter of support for Live Nations, so, okay. To be continued. All right, is there anything else?
Under our discussion about the museum property next to Desert Church, we had a conversation with a member of the congregation and the pastor about wanting to purchase part of our property at the museum. So I notified them of the process that it would take to actually put that out as surplus and do a short plat and everything that it would take. And that it would have to go up to a public auction if we did that. And they are still interested in moving forward with that possibility, wanting to maybe even bid on it in a public auction, and even offered to help with the short plat, which we really couldn't do. We'd need to put it into the price the minimum price is what we'd need to do. And we're asking if we could start possibly working on changing the lease with the Historical Society to move forward on that short plat. And so that is a decision we need to really consider maybe when I get back, is are we wanting to move forward with changing a lease as kind of the start, is to say, hey guys, we'd like to lease everything but this portion we may short plat, you know, and where do we go from here? So we need to have that discussion. As far as Jacob's Well, the work that was wanting to be done with the opioid addicted individuals. I received 2 more letters. I will forward them as FYI to my seatmates, reducing the ARPA
grant, they're suggesting reducing that to 44K to purchase a vehicle, purchase gas and food to take these people to the different treatment centers that are available in Yakima and Spokane. And it's basically finding people that really know they need to get help and working with them, getting them where they need to be. And so the discussions are continuing. That will leave some funding for other opportunities out there. If we do that, I just need to figure out when I get back whether that fits the ARPA, qualifications. And that's all I have.
Anything else?
I have we're short on time. I don't know if you want to talk about it right now or tomorrow. Rochelle from Fully Creative reached out to me asking about the reimbursement for the At My Community purchase that she made back in August. And really the last thing we need is just to change the client information on the actual contract itself, which I emailed Rebecca, but you're so busy. Do you want to talk about this tomorrow?
Sure.
During the, okay, we'll do this during the customer update.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay, it is 1:51. We are in recess until 2 o'clock. Again.
My followers. I can show on our website. Let's go ahead and show you what's going on here. Be able to share. So are we sharing the screen? Are you able to see that?
Here.
Thank you.
There you go.
We are now.
Go to the Department of Public Works. And again, we've been updating, we continue to update it. Oh yeah, it's a great picture. We have another one that's a snowplow that's just beautiful too. We'll get that up there soon. So there's the 4 divisions: administration, road operations, engineering. So we're looking at engineering. Now underneath engineering, we've been doing some more organization. One of the things that's most looked at is our road permits. So underneath road permits, all our permits are online using SmartGov, which we talked about earlier, and then private development. So when we look at these fees, we need to think about there's really 2 areas. There's issuing permits for certain activities, and then there's private development, like a large subdivision that's gonna grade or have stormwater, let's say. So when you're looking at the proposed fee changes, I don't have that on this website yet, so it'll just be in your packet. So draft fee policy.
The one that was sent out.
Yes.
Okay.
What page?
It should be the only item for discussion for Public Works. So looking at it would have a front that looks like this with draft.
Yeah, I've got it. I was just trying to ask what page of that.
Page 3.
Yeah, I'm on it.
So on page 3, what I've done is I broke it up into permit fees as opposed to development fees. So what's been going on is we've been providing the development services, review of plans. And this is a requirement for Public Works to do that for both stormwater and for grading. It's been in our code for actually 2 decades. So what's been happening is we've been providing that service, but we haven't necessarily been collecting fees for that service. So really the citizens of the county have been paying for that. And these are typically for developments, large plats, PUDs.
I can hear it coming now.
Yeah.
You're charging me for this? I'll pay taxes in this county.
Well, they do. However, some of the services, it takes some time to do that, to provide.
Yeah, it's not like their personal property taxes are gonna be covering it.
And permitting's pretty straightforward. You wanna have an approach to the public road, or you want to do some work in the public road, which would be a right-of-way permit, and the other one is an approach permit. These are pretty straightforward and they have fees. Our fees are anywhere between a half to 1/8 of what Kittitas County fees are for permit fees. So we're actually very cost effective to the point where I don't know if we're collecting enough to provide for that service for the permit fees. But on the development fee side, we are definitely not. The development fees in Kittitas County, a good example right next to us, they're actually charging it. We're not. And so it is time to have the developers pay for the services that they're getting from us, which is we need to be reviewing, this is underneath private development, we need to be reviewing grading plans, stormwater plans, traffic plans, also the plats. We have been charging for plat review. This plat review is basically survey maps that we review. So we have been charging for that, although it's the fees that we were charging were a few decades back, so it's time to update them. And still, even with this updated amount, you can compare with Kittitas County, we are lower across the board. Our fees are lower than Kittitas County, by far lower than Kittitas County. A good example is their approach permit is $425. Ours, even if we increase it to $100, I mean, we're $50 now, we're gonna still be a quarter of what Kittitas County is gonna be. And same thing for their development review fees. They're collecting something like $1,500 up front, and we would be doing $500. So when you look at the fees, how is this done, this question? So when you look at private site development fees, notice that there's stormwater, there's grading, there's road, there's traffic studies, and then there's also construction inspection. So if you have a major plat, say that they're gonna build 22 lots, they're gonna put in a public road, we need to be out there and inspecting it because we're gonna take on that public road after they're done, we have to take it on. So there's construction inspection as well. And again, we have not been collecting fees for these in the past. So we have been doing the service and the citizens of the county have been paying for it rather than the developer. So what this would do is, and again, we're gonna have a rate that's much lower than others. So when you look at engineering plans review, for example, we would collect a upfront fee in SmartGov. And that's for up to 10 hours of staff work, which includes everything all the way down through construction inspection. If we don't use that, we will refund it. If they say, you know what, we're done with this project, we're not gonna continue forward, because that happens a lot where they make a decision to change their project. They can, as soon as they notify us, we'll stop work on it and we will refund them. And it has to be whoever their authorized person is that says that to us. We don't just shut it down for anybody, right? We will refund whatever is left. So that's why it's saying there, any unused deposit amounts will be refunded. And the reason why is our staff has been working on it. Our staff has been doing development review. So notice also that anything after the 10 hours, usually a lot of this can be accomplished in 10 hours or less, a lot of those items. Anything after that would only be charged at $50 an hour, which again is a little bit lower than, quite a bit lower. But Kittitas County is $125 an hour, if I remember.
Can I stop you with a question?
Yes.
Dave, shouldn't you say that if the project is not finished, because you're actually saying that in doing your project, we may not use up all the money even though you finished your project? Are you gonna give them a refund if they do their project through? You're gonna finish their project, or are you gonna give money back from what you don't use?
Whatever is unspent. So for example, if our staff takes 5 hours to work on it, and it's $50 an hour, we have a deposit of $500, we would return what's left in the kitty.
Even when they're done with their project? Even when it's all your work and their work is done, their project's up and going and
oh yeah,
you're still gonna, okay, all right, I was just making sure. It sounded like you were talking about people who decide not to do their project,
well, that's
you'll get
another
right
option.
back.
Now, if you go down to the review deposit refunds, which is item 5, because that could happen. So used review funds are non-refundable as staff has already conducted the work. So if we're doing work on it and they say, well, we want all of it refunded. No, it's what you just told us now that you want to stop your project, or you have to let us know to stop review because our staff is
working on it, right?
I see you're leaving room though, that if you don't use it all up, it was an easy one and you will refund even to the guy who completes his project.
Yep. Unused review deposit funds will be refunded when the authorized applicant cancels the project or automatically after the review process completion. Reimbursement will be issued in the form of a check in the mail to the applicant of record. And it takes us 2 weeks for like a check turnaround, so it will take probably a month before they'd get reimbursed. But we can't go back through their credit card because it would be, it would, yeah. Nightmare, exactly. So we gotta do it by check. And then the permit fees are very different. A permit is someone comes in for an approach permit. Let's go back to the permit side. You come in for an approach permit, we issue the approach permit to them, and then they say, no, we don't want it now and we want to get refunded. Unfortunately, we've issued you a permit, we've gone through the work to do that, and it's just a flat fee. So even if it takes us twice as much staff time to do it, it doesn't matter, it's a flat fee, exactly. And I think we also changed your fees as well. Yes, so you'll see on page 4 for franchise agreement, it's 800 to Public Works, 400 for you to record. So for the Board of Commissioners. Exactly.
Yeah, because now their charges are like.
Gone up. So I'll notice that site grading, this is really key. So if someone comes in for a building permit, they get a grading permit along with their building permit, but it's only for where the building is at. So they don't need a Public Works grading permit unless they go and they grade their whole site and make a big parking lot, let's say, out of it. We handle everything outside of the building envelope, basically 5 feet outside of the building and beyond. Public Works takes over for storm drainage, for grading, those kind of things. So yeah, there you go.
Who knew?
Who knew, exactly.
Learn something every day.
Cubic yards? 500 cubic yards?
Yep. And notice anything under 500 cubic yards, a lot of projects can happen. Most of the small projects can happen. If you're under 500 cubic yards, we're not really worried about it. So mom and pop businesses, really large houses they're all gonna be underneath 500 yards. And they would be handled completely under the building permit, even if they're outside the building envelope. But once you start getting about 500 cubic yards, we're talking a lot of material at that point. That's why it says NA for up to 500 yards, 500 or less. So there's another thing that's very important for the developers to understand. There's a difference between coming in with a short plat survey map and saying, hey, we want to go through the process and getting that approved, and then engineering fees. So a lot of short plats don't require any, because they don't have any new roads being proposed at all. They're just driveways, right? So you come in with a short plat, notice that there's a short plat review, short plat survey review. You'd come in, it's $250 SmartGov review deposit. And the first five hours are included in that $250. If you need more than that or less than that, we'll refund it. So it's all built in. You could, though, have a short plat that has a private road, a big private road, 1,000 yards of material or 20,000 yards of material. It could be all over the place. So it is possible to have more than just a survey, a plat map review. You may also have engineering review for your grading or your storm drainage as well. So that is what had happened in the past, is everyone just mixed it together and said, oh, well, it's all provided for underneath your survey map review. Really? So some of these big plats and PUDs can take 20 hours of staff time to review. And we really haven't been collecting for that. So it's time. So that's what you're seeing. We're getting to have a fee policy that is similar to the other counties around us. Kittitas County is a good example. They're half our size population-wise, but they have a lot of development happening like us, because it's kind of coming from the west toward us. So again, this is just draft. So this is the first time it's getting out there, and this obviously has to go through hearing and all that. But I'd like to make this an annual thing, just like the Building Services Department is annually in January when they update their fees.
Can you look at franchise agreement fees? Misunderstanding or something, but it seems like it should say $800 by check to Public Works. Is that? More
Catch up to you.
franchise agreement fees?
Oh, my goodness, yes, thank you.
Well, that's
Yes,
what,
800 to Public Works by check, thank you. It's dropped. By check, thank you. And it's the
Yeah.
only one that we don't have built into SmartGov because there is, you're paying for both to the Board of County Commissioners and you're also paying to Public Works for franchises. So you're right, by check for those. The rest, we're handling underneath SmartGov now. So they can do it 24/7, in the middle of the weekend if they wanna apply for a permit or.
so why can't they do
start
that one?
development.
Why do they have to use a check? Because it's going to two different, you can't do a transfer.
Not yet, it might be transfer, we would have to have them, well, I guess we could have them
Well, I
pay
don't know.
twice with their credit card to do it. It's possible, we could do it, it's just, we didn't think about that. It's, franchises
Well,
happen
I'm
a
just
few
thinking
times a
how-
year.
Cause I know I will get a call and when somebody from Mattawa, Royal City, somebody
Yeah.
south, and Danny probably gets it up north, instead of driving or,
Do it online?
yeah,
All
it's
right,
pretty
Let-
handy.
let me work on it and.
And even
what
the
we'll do
mail is slower than it used to
We'll
be.
do, but it'll be
Well,
credit
does our
card
office-
twice. They'll have to use their credit card twice, so there
Does
will
our
be two
office
fees.
need to have a portal there
Um.
on the franchise, or do you just,
With the BOCC, well, no, we would provide whatever's needed
okay,
so it'd come to us first and then we would send it to you, I guess, because they would be paying through the SmartGov portal. But often they come to the board first too. So that what you could do is tell them, hey, there is a SmartGov portal, you can do this online, pay for it online, upload your documents online. I'll work on that one. I like it.
so they'd have to do two credit card charges.
But it would be one application, two credit card charges.
I'm sure they would not mind. It's faster to do that than it is to get in your car and drive all the way up here. You
Absolutely
need something
is.
right away.
And some of them do it from afar too, so we deal with people from pretty far away, sometimes with franchises. All right, and then that would get everything online too, which would be great. It should be pointed out that, and I even said it in here, that we will still do it offline. Where did we say this? Payments. Here we go. Underneath payments, checks can be used to pay for fees offline, but it takes longer than the online payments. Engineering service fees must be paid prior to staff work being conducted. That was another problem. We do a bunch of work and then they would decide to not do the project, so we never received fees. So it has to be a deposit up front, and then we will refund anything that's unused. There you go, you've been briefed. Good comments, thank you. I think everything else is, did you have anything else?
No.
All right.
Fastest meeting ever.
I think we are done, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, it is
Apparently you got a hearing tomorrow.
2:17. Do we have any other questions or comments? I know your meetings have not been taking a full hour. Do you want to continue having the full hour? Or do you want to reduce it to 30 minutes?
There's times when we have a lot of agenda though. If you,
Alright,
just,
I'm
what,
I think
3
most
weeks
of
ago,
them
we had a
would be
lot.
30 minutes.
Okay.
If it's up to us, it would be nice and short, 30 minutes.
Okay, well, it is 2:18. We are in recess until 3 o'clock where we have our claims litigation meeting.
That's 42 minutes.
And the meeting is from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. There will be no decision made if we come out early, so.
I got it.
Oh, are you done? No, I'm not, but it'll be, the RCW will be 4231.10.1I for, so I've not gone into executive session yet. Do you have anything to add?
No, I thought I sent the link to Colin Kearns, but he didn't find it, so
Do you have an email that we can share?
I should be able to do that really quick.
So we have not gone into executive session yet, so we still
It's
have
just the agenda, it should be.
20 more minutes.
Yeah, I think his email, and you sent him the link. He said he didn't get the link to join. He was gonna give the update on the PowerPoint case.
That's
Monday the 21st
2 more days, we can go trick or treating.
of October.
We're just working on getting a link sent out, a Zoom link.
for my own edification, we'll have 2 people online and we have them here. So we have the people online have to put themselves backstage, correct? With the.
Shane and Frank, I do appreciate the fact that you chose different colors for your
Yes,
shirts
okay.
today.
That's right.
They're really,
I only have one. They only give me one. He probably doesn't.
Did you have one?
I think Shane got my own. I did, yeah, probably. I have a large, extra large one I got rid of. I'll give that to you if you want.
well, Shane, it is commendable that you've been able to reduce from an extra large to a smaller shirt. And you've made significant progress in this area. Got a little scary for me.
We are live here.
Well, we're not going to any medical details.
And I could use the motivation for myself too.
Gotta be careful.
Do you want me to kick things
If
off?
you want a shirt like Shane's,
Oh, you're in, I think, Colin Kearns.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna promote the panelists.
So when we're ready, I'll kick things off just for
Okay, I
a
think
quick
we're,
introduction.
we have to have Caitlin put us in.
I'm gonna try that today.
I can enter backstage.
We need to call the time and everything.
okay, it is 3:04. We are going into executive session from 3:04 to 4 o'clock. And it will be RCW 423110-1I litigation.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to attempt to put that.
Them in, it's curious.
Lisa,
We are live now.
I don't recall.
We're out of executive session. And again, a little bit of this, the 30 seconds or 2 or 3 minutes before, this meeting is being recorded and will be available on YouTube.
So how does that work with executive sessions? Is it just blacked out?
It will, I think we just have the beginning and the end. Oh, the whole thing will be just blacked out?
I was supposed to pause it, but then it goes so slow, I forgot. But so we have an hour of black in the.
Oh, okay, but typically it'll just, that
It'll be
1
stopped.
hour will be like a
Okay.
2 seconds. Somebody is that bored.
Barb, you are not recording right now, as far as I know, also.
It
It
says
says
recording
recording.
on the screen,
On air and recording.
like it never stopped.
But you'll be able to tell who's viewing it, right?
Okay, never mind, sorry.
Thanks, everybody, for being here
Sure.
and discussing this with us and
Thank you.
giving us some
Thank you,
expert
guys.
opinion.
Yeah, Ms. Barb. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I was gonna ask. So, yeah, I don't-
Isn't it?
We're out of time.
Kevin,
I mean,
Kevin,
outside of this meeting, if there's
I
something.
will try to be online with you tomorrow morning. I'm not coming in. I'm gonna try to be remote. So if I miss your meeting, it's not anything personal.
Yeah, you would have turned off.
We weren't sure if we were gonna get a policy on this or not.